juu kuna watu kwa maana kwa
Hello and good morning. Kindly confirm in the chat box that you can be able to hear me. Please confirm that you can hear me. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I take this opportunity to welcome you to today's webinar. Be ready to learn. In case you have any question, please raise it on the comment section. We are going to have a Q&A section at the end. So my name is Charity Idibu. I'm part of the RWK Africa team in the tax department. So respecting all religion, we are going to start with a word of prayer. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, King of glory, come unto you this morning. We thank you so much for this, Father, you brought us. Thank you for this webinar. We pray that, Father, be with us as we start and even as we end. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. So thank you once again. In case of any challenge, any network issue, just let me know and we are going to respond it to immediately. So possibly in the comment section, you can tell us where you are listening us from and possibly the company that you represent, if you don't mind. So I hope that my screen is visible, that you're able to see my slides. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nancy, Young Life Kenya. It's a pleasure to have you here on board. So today's session, it's about the taxation on non-governmental organization, that is NGO. And as I've said, I'm going to be your trainer. My name is CPA Charity Idibu, team lead for the tax department here at RWK Africa. So one of the questions that people normally ask, and even taxpayers, is are NGOs supposed to pay tax? So that is the question that we are supposed to respond to today. And even as we tackle, because at the end of the session, we are going to look at a case study that is published in the Kenya Law website. It's a Kenyan case between a company and the Tax Appeals Tribunal. So out of everything that you are going to cover, just remember that compliance is key. Documentation is also key. And most importantly, is that it is the taxpayer's obligation or responsibility to show or to give the burden of proof. So as a taxpayer in the non-governmental organization, in that NGO that you are working in, or you are a director, the burden of proof is on yourself. So the reason I'm saying this is because the question that I have just raised is that, is an NGO supposed to pay taxation? In some instances, and as we are going to see, there are those that do pay and there are those that do not. Those that do not pay any taxation, they have something that we call the tax exemption certificate. And before you do the application, as you are going to see the documentation that are required, if you are not able to give that burden of proof, then it means that you will not be able to get that exemption certificate. So it's very, very important that out of after the end of today's session, the burden of proof is on you, the taxpayer, because you are the one who is supposed to prove to KRA that you're supposed to be given that exemption. So let us dive in. And we need to understand who are these non-governmental organizations, the NGOs. And these are independent, non-profit entities that operate outside the government control, focusing on various social, humanitarian, and development issues, like, for example, education, healthcare, disaster relief, or community development purposes. So if you are an NGO, you have indicated that you are a non-profit entity, you must be focusing on either social, humanitarian, and development issues, which we have said is education, healthcare, disaster relief, and community development purposes. And as I have said, you are the one who is supposed to prove to KRA that you are involved and you are focusing on these various issues. So for the NGOs, you must register with the NGO coordination board, and you must also ensure that you get a Kenya personal identification number, that is a KRA PIN from the Kenya Revenue Authority. And this is for tax purposes. We are also going to be able to answer the question that as an NGO, since you are a not-for-profit organization, are you supposed to file the return? Then what are some of the tax obligations that you should have? So like other entities which are not the non-governmental entities, they are subject to specific taxation framework that govern their operations. So what is the tax status of NGO in Kenya? So for the since we are saying that NGOs, they are not for profit organizations, they are not automatically tax exempt. So you're not supposed to indicate that I am an NGO, I've registered as a not-for-profit organization, hence I'm not supposed to be paying any taxes, unless what you're dealing with is indicated in the various acts that we have. That is the tax procedures, the Income Tax Act, the VAT Act, unless it is indicated that a certain service or a certain good is exempt, you need to have an exemption certificate. So for the exemption requirement, you are going to see the documentation that you're supposed to present. You must apply to the KRA to get a tax exemption certificate under the Income Tax Act. So what you are going to be exempted is the Income Tax Act company. So that exemption certificate. And that exemption certificate is going to be valid for a period of 5 years. So in case you had an exemption certificate, or you have it currently now, and it's supposed to expire next year, then you need to be ready and ensure that you provide you make sure that all the documentation are ready, such that when you approach the expiry, or when the expiry is already due, then you can resubmit and renew your exemption certificate by ensuring that you provide all the necessary documentation, all the requisite documentation that are normally requested by KRA. So what are some of the key taxes that are affected by NGOs? So you'll find that some NGOs, yes, what they are doing is education and poverty relief, but also they have other businesses which they are getting income. So even when you're doing the application for the exemption, you need to separate. Yes, if all the businesses are registered under the NGO, but there are those that are not for profit, and there are others that are for profit. So if everything is not for profit, then you need to separate. And remember that the only income that is going to be exempt is the one that is on the not-for-profit. So one of the key taxes is the Income Tax Act. So a company, an NGO that has already an exemption certificate, meaning that they have already met and provided all the requisite documents. They have already registered with the necessary bodies, including KRA, and they have a KRA PIN certificate. They are supposed to file their income tax. And when they are filing their income tax, is when they are going to indicate their exemption certificate number. Because it's your responsibility and it's your obligation to ensure that you file the returns. So we have got the income tax. So whether you have the exemption certificate or not, you are required to file the income tax. And income tax is also known as the corporate income tax or corporation tax. And this is a direct tax on profit earned by corporation and legal entities. So this one is for, if solely everything that you are doing is for poverty relief and other activities that fall under the exemption, then you are not. You will only be required to file the income tax and issue the exemption and include the exemption certificate number. But if on top of that you are involved in other activities that are giving you profit, then you must ensure that you separate that source and you pay tax on that other business. So exempt on income is solely used for charitable purposes. So even if you have you in your registered NGO, you have the other activities that you are doing, but the income that you're getting and deriving from that other business, all of it is coming to support the main principal activity of your NGO. Then you are not supposed to pay any tax. But remember, you have the responsibility to ensure that you show and you give the proper, you give KRA the proof, because we have said that the burden of proof rests on you, the NGO, being the taxpayer. So the taxable income, any income from commercial activities not directly related to the NGO core purpose. For example, you have some other buildings where you're getting rental income. You have some investment, you are earning interests. You have some other trading activities. Any commercial activity that is not directly related to the NGO core purpose, then you must pay tax. You're going to be charged tax on that. So NGOs must demonstrate towards public benefit activities to obtain the exemption. So recently, cases in the Tax Appeals Tribunal or even in the High Court is that so many taxpayers are not able to demonstrate the burden of proof. So when you fail to do this, then you are going to find that there are some other taxes that you are paying. And in the same case, even in the example of the case that we are going to see, it's not a guarantee that your exemption application is going to be allowed. Unless you're able to demonstrate, you have all the support documentation, that is the only time that you'll be able to get the exemption certificate. So if you are not able to demonstrate this burden of proof, then that means that you will not be able to get the exemption certificate. And that means that the income that you are getting, even though you are a not-for-profit, that KRA might charge you tax because you do not have an exemption certificate. So another thing, we have the pay as you earn. And pay as you earn, this is not the tax that is charged to the employer, that is to the NGO. NGO, in your NGO, you have got employees and you are paying salaries and wages. So the pay as you earn is whereby the NGO will act as an intermediary between KRA and the employees. So if the NGO is paying an individual 100,000, they're supposed to compute. So that means that they need to have a payroll. They're supposed to compute the amount of tax that individual is supposed to be charged. If it is coming to 20,000, they're supposed to deduct them, the 20,000, and file. So the employer needs to have the pay-as-you-earn obligation. So in this pay-as-you-earn obligation, they'll indicate all the employees they in month, how much they paid them, and what was the resultant tax. So if the tax is coming to 100,000, the NGO is responsible to ensure that they deduct that money from the employees and remit it to KRA. So remember, for the pay-as-you-earn, And even in a recent ruling that was given for pay as you earn, it's the employer, we have said they are acting as agent for KRA. That is to correct this pay as to collect this pay as you earn and remit it to KRA. Sometimes you might find that in the system you have some overpayment. The NGO has some overpayment. So what KRA recently said is that this overpayment, you cannot be able, and they have already they have disabled that any overpayment that you have in your iTax, to use it to reduce, to pay, to offset against the pay as you earn. The reason because is that for the pay as you earn, we have said that you are acting as an intermediary. So you cannot say that for VAT or for any other taxes, you had some excesses and you want to use that excess to offset against pay as you earn. So pay as you earn, they expect that you are going to pay and not offset. The same case for withholdings, as we are going to see. So NGOs, you are responsible to ensure that you withhold and remit pay on staff salaries like any other employer. So the catch here will be, remember that we have said that whether you have the exemption certificate or not, you're supposed to file your income tax return. So when you file your income tax return, you're going to indicate how much was the income that or the donations that you received, what were your expenses. In your expenses, you will have the salaries and wages. So assuming that I find that KRA finds that you have salaries and wages of 100 million, but you do not have a pay-as-you-earn obligation. So that is a trigger. And remember now for the NGO, you have the exemption certificate. So KRA will be looking for ways to charge you tax. And that will revolve around the pay-as-you-earn and the withholdings, because you do not have any exemptions for those two returns. So any NGO and you have got employees, whatever, no matter what salaries that you are paying them, even if it is below the threshold, you need to have a pay-as-you-earn obligation, so that it doesn't come back to you when you claim the salaries and wages, but you do not have the pay-as-you-earn. So KRA works backward and charges you tax because you have you incurred some salaries and wages, but you didn't pay the resultant tax on the same. So those are some of the triggers that we normally have, and that is the catch that KRA is after when they are checking on the NGOs. First is the exemption. You need to provide proper documentation for you to be exempted. The second one now, it's on the pay-as-you-earn and the withholdings. So also, if you have the pay-as-you-earn obligation and you have some taxes to pay, ensure that you pay it on time. Remember, the deadline for pay as you earn is always 9th of every month. So if you fail to do this, then there'll be a repercussion, and that will be a penalty for late remittance or filing, which is 25% of the amount due, or 10,000. So whichever is higher, it will be charged for late payment. Then the late payment will also attract interest, which is normally 1% per month until the outstanding taxes are paid in full. So when it comes to audit and investigations for the NGOs, it normally happens where there's repeated failure to comply, which leads to investigation by KRA, which can result in additional penalties or legal action. And that is what I was explaining and saying, that you have got salaries and wages of 100 million. But what you have in your pay analysis is 50 million. So you need to support the other 50 million. Because if you are not able to support, assuming it's resulting from employees who earn below the threshold, then you need to demonstrate and support everything. If you are not able to support, then it means that they are going to charge you as the employer 30%, because it is your mandate to ensure that you deduct the pay as you earn and you remit it to KRA. So audits and investigations are there for the pay as you earn, particularly for the NGOs. Then when it comes to the withholding tax, we normally say that withholding tax is a tax deducted at source by a payer, that is the NGO, when making payment to supplier, contractors, or service provider. So as an NGO, you'll have a lot of you'll have several suppliers and even professionals. Assuming maybe you engage a lawyer, you have engaged an auditor, you have engaged a tax representative, you have engaged a valuer to do something for you. So there is that interaction between you and also even in other businesses, in other sectors that are not non-governmental organizations. There's that interaction between the supplier, the contractors, and even the service provider. So in the next slide, we'll be able to understand what are those different service provider or professionals and even contractors that we engaged. What do they mean, and what are we supposed to do? So when you are making payment, for example, professional fee, you are paying your lawyer 100,000. For professional fee, they're supposed to be subjected to 5% withholding tax. And this withholding tax, it means that if you have been invoiced 100,000 by a lawyer, you're supposed to withhold 5% of that amount, and that means 5,000. And you ensure that within 5 days, you remit that money to KRA. And after you are remitted, that is the point they'll be able to get a withholding certificate. So failure to which, when you have claimed your expenses, remember we have said that for the pay and the withholding, all will fall from what you have filed in your income tax, even though you have the exemption certificate. So you have filed and you have said that you had some legal fees of 2 million, you had some audit fee of 1 million, you had some professional fee of a certain amount, you had some management fee. So when we total that, we find that it's totaling to like 10 million. But there's no withholding certificate in your iTax system. So remember, KRA will use the information in your system. And also because KRA is a self-assessment regime. So it is us who are telling KRA that the income that we received, the donations that we received for this year was this much. The expenses that we incurred was this much. So the information that you have presented, because Kenya is a self-assessment regime, is what KRA is going to use. So they find that you have paid to the management fee, the audit fees, the legal fees, totaling to roughly 10 million, but there's no withholding certificate in your system. So it means that this 10 million will be charged 5% because all these costs, they're supposed to be subjected to 5% withholding tax, but you have failed to comply to that. So meaning that they are going to assess you 5% of the total, which is roughly maybe possibly 500,000. So, and this is money that you ought to have just, because also for the withholding, you are just acting as an intermediary. You're supposed to pay the supplier 100,000, but because it's a professional fee, you withhold 5% and you remit. So failure to which you have paid the whole amount 100,000, but you failed to comply with the Income Tax Act. That is, you fail to withhold. Then you're going to incur additional costs because of non-compliance. So, and this it's an advance payment of income tax now on the other individual. So the same case, even when an NGO, you are giving other services, and those other services need to be subjected to withholding, then the person who is paying you, they also need to deduct and remit that withholding to KRA. Then also you can be appointed as VAT withholding agent. So it means that you are purchasing goods and services that have been charged VAT. For example, maybe you went and purchased a table or a television for the company and you are charged VAT. If you are a VAT withholding agent, before you pay the supplier that amount, you need to withhold 2% and remit to KRA. So also we ensure that we check our system. Also we keep our up to date, because the email that is used on iTax, you need to be opening on a day-to-day basis, just to check any communication and also any notification, because when they are as maybe VAT withholding agent or rental withholding agent, they are going to notify you. Once they give you that notice, it will have a date. Date is the effective date. So when you fail to comply later and review, they are going to backdate those. So when does an NGO withholding? So even if an NGO is exempt from income tax on its own income, it is generally exempted from the obligation to withhold tax on payment it makes to other parties. NGOs in Kenya are required to deduct and remit withholding tax of payment. So this specific, I've talked about the management and professional fees, and include payment for services such as accounting, legal, and architectural services. We have the training fees, payment made for providing training services. We have services. We have contractual fees, payment made under a contract for service. We have the agency fees, payment made to agent for their services. We've got the royalties, payment for the use of intellectual property. We have the rent, which is payment for the use of property, especially to non-resident. We have the commissions, payment to individuals or entities for facilitating transaction. So all this, they are included in the Income Tax Act. So when it comes to the management and professional fee, it's 5% for the resident. The non-resident, you might find it's 10%. For the training fees, they are the same 5%. For the consultancy fee, it's also 5% for the resident. For the contractual fee, it's 3%. We have the agency fees, we have the royalties, so all this. So when you make the reference to the Income Tax Act, you'll be able to identify the rates. So we need to keep ourselves up to date with the changes that are affecting us. So another tax that we have is the value added tax. So as an NGO, you are not automatically VAT exempt. It's the same case we have said for the income tax. You are not automatically exempt from Income Tax Act unless you have the exemption certificate. So if you engage in taxable services and the amount is 5 million and above, and it's not exempt, then it means that you need to register for the VAT obligation. So this means that your annual sales are 5 million and above. So sometimes you may apply for relief on specific donor-funded projects. So when you check the VAT Act, there are those specific donor-funded projects whereby when they are approved by KRA and the Treasury, then you can get a relief because they're termed as exempt. But you have to get an approval from either the Cabinet Secretary or the KRA. Then when it comes to the customs and import duty, the donor-funded project good, they may qualify for duty or VAT exemption with a National Treasury tax exemption certificate. So remember, for anything that you are dealing with, unless you have that exemption certificate, is what will guarantee that you're not supposed to be paying any taxes. So we have said that as an NGO, since you are a not-for-profit organization, you qualify for exemption. So once you qualify for the exemption, you need to apply for that tax exemption. So NGOs must be established for charitable purposes, such as the relief of poverty, advancement of education, or promotion of religion to qualify for the tax exemption. And it is upon you to demonstrate this. So the organization must be registered under the NGO Coordination Act or the Societies Act, and a valid registration certificate is essential for the application. So the NGOs need an application to KRA in a prescribed format. So there's already a prescribed format by KRA on how you're supposed to submit the exemption application. And that format needs to be accompanied by necessary documentation. So the documentation, the list is quite lengthy, but you have to produce everything that they have asked to the latter. So duly completed application form, you must fill that form. The tax compliance certificate of the organization needs to be available. The tax compliance certificate of the directors, trustee, or office bearers. So it means that for you to, we are aware that for you to get a tax compliance certificate, it shows that you are compliant in all angles of taxation. So if you are non-compliant when it comes to the withholding and when it comes to the pay-as-you-earn and even other taxes like the VAT, then it means that you'll not be able to get the tax compliance certificate. And that automatically disqualifies you from getting this exemption certificate. So the tax compliance certificate is very, very key. Then the certificate of incorporation of the NGO or certificate of registration, copy of the expired income tax exemption certificate, that is for renewal cases, copy of the memorandum and article of association, constitution or trust deed, which outlines the objectives and include proper dissolution clause. Then there's the audited accounts for the last 3 years. So you being an NGO, a not-for-profit organization, it means also that you're supposed to be audited by an auditor. So you need to provide, when you are doing the renewal or when you're doing the initial application, you need to submit the audited accounts. So copies of the last 3 annual return filed with the relevant regulation, the societies, the NGO, the Ministry of Land, all those need to be accompanied. The certified bank statement for the last 3 years. There is also a payout analysis based on the bank statement for each year using the format provided in the application form. So for the payout, there's normally a format that has to be used. The organogram and structure of the organization, the current letter of introduction from the government, from a government official, preferably the county commissioner of the location where the organization operates. That's also a requirement. List of donors for the last 3 years, indicating their amount and their country of origin. The list of the beneficiaries for the last 3 years. There's also a photographic evidence of programs and activities for the year. Impact report of the charitable programs and activities. Copies of the title deed and logbooks where applicable. So if you have land, you have vehicles, then you must provide that. The logbooks, then payrolls for your employees for the last 3 years. That is if the organization has got employees or has got employees. So all this documentation, it is your responsibility as a taxpayer. And we have said that the burden of proof is always on the taxpayer. So if for now you do not have all these records and you are a not-for-profit organization, then it means that you need to align them and ensure that all of them are available and they are accurate. So when even we share the payroll, they are going to compare with what you have been filing on pay-as-you-earn. So any variance will also now indicate that they need to assess you further and charge you extra taxes because you have been non-compliant. So compliance is key for you to be able to support all this and for you to get that exemption certificate. So there are other statutory compliance that you are entitled to comply with as an NGO. So since you have got employees, on top of the pay-as-you-earn, we have the Social Health Authority, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund, whereby you need to be registered with SHA and ensure that your employees, you are deducting them 2.75% of their gross salary and remitting it to SHA. So remember, these are separate organizations. And in most instances, you'll find that there are authorities from the SHA coming to check whether you are compliant. When you check the SHA website, there is a place whereby you can be able to generate a compliance certificate. So the angle that sometimes KRA is going, and maybe in the near future, they'll also be requesting for compliance in the other bodies. So recently we have seen KRA writing to taxpayers and telling them to give them their breakdown and support that housing levy was indeed paid and NITA was indeed paid. So NITA, that is the National Industrial Training Authority. So when it comes to the housing levy, we have the portion where the employer need to contribute and the employer need also to contribute based on the amount that is being paid to the employee. So for housing levy, it's 1.5% employer and 1.5% employee. And this is also filed concurrently with the pay as you earn. And KRA is the collecting agent. So when we are filing, we need to generate a payment slip, but separately from pay as you earn for us to pay, but through the iTax portal. Then we have the National Social Security Fund, that is NSSF, for retirement. The same case, it has the contribution by the employer and by the employee. So that is 6% employer and 6% employee. So also, I've seen officers from NSSF going to taxpayers' offices to check whether they are compliant, and if they are not, then there are some repercussions on the same, because anything that we are supposed to adhere to, we'll find that there's some interest and some penalties that is going to be charged if we are compliant. So then I've talked about the NITA, National Industrial Training Authority, and this is normally 50 shillings per employee. And this is not deducted on the employee. This is the contribution, this is the payment that is being done to the employer. And this means that any training that you want, because sometimes some taxpayers will ask, what is the benefit that I'm getting from NITA? So when you attend a training, or when you register for a training from a NITA registered trainer, and they charge you, you're supposed to do an application to NITA 2 weeks prior, so that once NITA approves, then once all the costs that you have incurred and you provide all the support documentation, you might get a reimbursement for that. So that is the aim of this 50 shillings. So the compliance of these other organizations is very key, because it shows that we are compliant in all angles, not just in the revenue authorities. So we have also the electronic tax invoice management system. So that is the ETIMS. And this is a software solution which was introduced by KRA in 2023 to provide taxpayers with simple, convenient, flexible approach to electronic invoicing. So remember, technology is advancing very fast. So KRA is one of the organizations that adapts to technology. So the manual returns or the manual entries that we are doing and the record keeping, possibly in the near future, everything ETIMS was introduced. And the key feature, some of the key features that are in these ETIMS is the accessibility on various computing devices like computers, laptops, and tablets. So previously we had only the VAT, the ETR machine. So that one was only used for the VAT registered taxpayer. But when ETIMS was introduced, this was introduced for everyone. So it means that any invoice that you are issuing needs to go through the ETIMS for KRA, and KRA will automatically, because it's real time, they'll be able to know that there's a receipt that you have been able to generate. Then when you engage, for example, a trainer, the receipt that they are supposed to give you should be an ETIMS receipt. Because in that ETIMS receipt is whereby it will show that you incurred, and this information will be real time. So if You engage a trainer today and you pay them, then they need to give you an ETIMS receipt. And in that ETIMS receipt, it's very, very important to ensure that the PIN number of the NGO is indicated there. So any supplies, either service or goods that you're receiving in your organization, either be it Kenya Power, be it either stationaries, be it either the assets that you are purchasing, then you need to issue your KRA PIN and get an ETIMS receipt. So the ETIMS is flexible because it has various solutions. We have the online portal, we have the ETIMS client software, we have the virtual sales control unit, we have the online sales control unit, and we also have the ETIMS Lite. The ETIMS is also able to do stock management, which assists taxpayers in maintaining inventory. It also assists in the maintenance of invoice records on the taxpayers portal. It also helps with easier recording of purchases, that is just accepting the ETIMS invoice purchased. And also we have, when it comes to the VAT, we have the simplified return filing for taxpayer. So as I have said, KRA is simplifying a lot of things. So even on the pay as you earn, we have the template, the simplified template that was just rolled out the other day. So they are embracing technology and removing duplication of various things around their templates. So you'll find that in the simplified pay as you earn, it has just very few sheets as compared to the previous one, because they realized that there was a lot of duplication. So they just consolidated all that data. So even for the VAT, when it is being filed, when you're engaged in other services other than in the NGO main principal activities, when you engage in other services that you charge VAT, you'll be able to see and embrace that. Right now, we don't do the manual entry. We just extract the auto population from the KRA and just confirm that that information is correct. So the compliance requirements that you are required as an NGO is that you are supposed to maintain audited financial statement annually. So there's also, even with the embracing of the technology, other organizations like the ISPAC, they have introduced a unique document identifier number, which needs to be attached in all audited financial statements. So effective 1st October 2025, each and every document. So if as an NGO you want to access loan, or even you want to apply for a grant, you need to provide the audited financial statement. And in those audited financial statements, they are going to have a QR code. And the person that is using that, be it either the person who is donating to you, or your financial provider, or even KRA, they can be able to check the authenticity of that particular document. So maintain audited financial statement annually. And the reason for the UDIN, the unique identification number, is for us to go to compliant auditors who are certified by ISPAC to do this particular audit. So don't just go to a person who is not a registered auditor and a compliant auditor. Then you're supposed to file annual returns with KRA even when you are exempt, because when you're filing that return using the audited accounts financial statements that have been presented by your auditor, there's always a place whereby you need to indicate the exemption certificate number. Then also you need to ensure that you provide donor reports and maintain proper records of account. Even all the list that the checklist that we just check, all those documentation need to be provided. So that is part of the compliance requirement, but it is not just limited to this, because when we talk about the burden of proof is always on the taxpayer. You are supposed to prove on so many things. So compliance is key, and proper books of account is what is going to help you, either in this your NGO or in other businesses that you are doing that are not for profit businesses. So what are some of the common pitfalls and penalties? So failure to renew exemption certificate, and maybe you have failed to do this because of you didn't have like a tax compliance certificate, or you are not able to dispense the burden of proof from your side. Then using funds for private benefit. Remember, these grants that you're receiving and these donations that you're receiving, they're supposed to be used for charitable purposes. So as the director or the chairperson or even the treasurer in that NGO, we find that there's some money that you are removing from the statement and paying it to yourself and using it for your private benefit. Then that is an indication, and it might lead you to a lot of issues, even the withdrawal of your exemption certificate. Then late filing of returns. So we need to be able to, we'll need to be aware of the timelines and the deadlines that are set. So late filing will always attract penalties and interest under the Tax Procedures Act. And this late filing is not only for the taxes, even with the other statutory obligations that we have seen. When it comes to SHA, it has its own penalties. When it comes to NITA, when it comes to housing levy, when it comes to NSSF, all those, there are penalties and the interest that have been imposed when you fail to file the return and pay it on time. So what is some of the best practices that you are supposed to do as NGO? One is apply for exemption and renew. So when you see that your exemption has expired, ensure that since you have provided all, or you have kept proper records of accounts, then you provide all the documentation and you renew. In case you have just registered, then you apply for exemption. Then segregate commercial income and keep separate records. So we have said that on top of the main principal activity, which is NGO, if you are involved in other activities, then that needs to be separated from the main account, because those will be charged taxes separately unless the income is being taken back into the main principal activity for charitable purposes. Then seek advance tax ruling for complex donor arrangement, and also seek professional advice either from a lawyer, from an auditor, when you are doing all this, even the preparation for the exemption and the renewal, it's important. So what are some of the tax triggers that will lead to tax audits? So we have said that you are obligated to do and file your returns on time. So non-filing and late filing of returns will always be a trigger. We have this IFMI system used by government to pay its suppliers. So if you are engaged and transacting with the government, if they make a payment to you, they'll do it using the IFMI system. So KRA is able to get that data and compare to what you have filed on your return. Then significant variation in amount declared in return. For example, the comparison between the pay as you earn on a monthly basis and the salaries and wages. Continuous losses by the company. So this is when you have other separate businesses, because for NGO, we have said it's a not-for-profit. So it's either a surplus or a deficit. Then business restructuring, we have third-party information. So when KRA gets that party information, or even the issue to do with whistleblowing in regards to you, then they are going to come to you and do a tax audit. Then media attention on a company, current or former employees giving out information, and also intercompany transactions. So we have seen that in some other NGOs, you'll find that they have got several related companies. So those intercompany transaction, KRA is normally very, very interested in them. So any intercompany transactions that is seen revolving around the companies that you are the director, then that might also lead to tax audits. So what are some of the tax saving strategies that you can be able to use? So interest expense on loan taken for the furtherance of the business. So if you took a loan to use in a commercial activity, and you are able to demonstrate that, then the interest that you're going to be charged, you can use it to reduce your taxes. Then expensing bad debts. So if you have a debt, you have done all the necessary means possible to try and recover this amount, but with no success, and you can be able to demonstrate that, then you can expense that bad debt, no matter the amount, but ensure that you have all the proper documentation to prove that this amount of money you cannot be able to recover it. Then deductions of capital allowance, since depreciation is not taxable, it's not allowable for tax purposes. Then insurance cover, whereby so this is for the individual. So if you are an employee of an NGO and you have taken an insurance cover, provide that document, insurance policy, to your employer, because you'll be able to enjoy a 15% relief. So that will reduce your taxes. Then when an individual has taken a mortgage instead of a loan, there's always there's a mortgage relief, which is up to a maximum of 30,000. So for your employees in the NGO, communicate to them these things so that they provide all the relevant documentation, that when you are even computing their pay as you earn, the mortgage relief and even the insurance cover and the contribution to retirement benefit scheme, and also the home ownership saving plan, then that will be used to reduce the amount of tax that they are going to pay. Then on the NGO, if you have disabled employees or people who are able differently, then they need to be registered for them to enjoy their benefit that is there, the disability relief, because the first 150,000 to a person who is able differently is tax exempt. So they are going to be taxed from the 151,000. So if it is 151,000, the 150, they'll not going to pay any tax. They'll pay now on the excess, that is the 1,000 of the above that is amount. Then proper record keeping is very important. And remember, we normally keep our records for a period of 5 years. So if you have registered in 2021, you need to have all the support documentation, including all the registration documents, all the expenses, all the incomes that you made and generated in that period. So they all need to be kept very well. Possibly you could have an archive within your organization. Then accuracy when filing returns, we ensure that there are no errors or mistakes, because we say that we are a self-assessment regime and it is us who are self-assessing ourselves. So if there's no accuracy when filing our returns, KRA will not understand, because we are the ones who have submitted. So I've seen instances whereby a person generated an ITIMS and they made an error, and you find that that error is very huge, because in an example where an individual was supposed to generate an ITIMS of 74,000, they indicated that 74,000 to be the quantity, and the price remained the same. So you find that that invoice was generated with 5 billion, and they didn't take the necessary measures to issue a credit note within the set timelines, because for a credit note, you can be able to issue it within a period of 6 months. So you find that 6 months has already elapsed, but that issue was never corrected. So accuracy when filing return is very, very key. Then when we realize that we have made a mistake or an error, we ensure that we seek professional advice on how we can rectify that, and we do that immediately. Then understanding return timelines to avoid interest and penalties. So when it comes to the pay as you earn, the deadline is normally 9th. When it comes to the VAT, the deadline is normally 20th. So once we understand the return timelines, then it's going to save us a lot of taxes. Then engaging a professional tax expert. So we are not maybe we don't have the accounting background or even the auditing background, but there are those experts who are there, like RWK, who can assist you in these matters. So, and it is not very expensive to just engage a professional tax expert. When you are facing KRA, they normally indicate that ignorance of the law is no defense. So it's for us to take all the necessary means possible to ensure that we are in the safe side of the law. So what are some of the ongoing tax audits? We have the legacy debt. So legacy was the system that was used prior to the iTax system. So you'll find that some taxpayers, they were, when the data was migrated, KRA indicated that they have some debts. So the legacy debt, so if you have a debt that you know it's not valid in your system and you have the proper documentation, then it's important. It's important for you to be able to support that and that to be removed in your system. Then we have the return review. So this is whereby you have filed your return, but they want to review, then expense assessment, and it is what we are talking about, like the pay as you earn and the salaries and wages. They do a comparison. When they find that you paid some management expenses, but you did not pay withholding, then they are going to assess you on that. Then advanced tax, if you have commercial vehicles, there is an advanced tax that you're supposed to pay on commercial vehicles, and that is well highlighted in the Income Tax Act. I've talked about the IFMI system, which is the system that is used by the government when they are paying their suppliers. We have the nil filers. So you have a return, you have the pay as you earn return, but you are constantly filing nil. So that is also a trigger for audit. Non-filers, so you are expected as a taxpayer, it's your obligation to ensure that you filed return. So if you are not filing your returns, then that will be a trigger that will trigger a tax audit. Having pay as you earn obligation, yet having salaries as an expense. So we have said that for the NGOs, even though you have the exemption certificate, the pay as you earn is your responsibility, because we have said that you are acting as an intermediary to ensure that you withhold you deduct from the employees and you remit to KRA. Then tax investigation on evasion is also something that is ongoing currently. So what are you supposed to do when you get a notice for tax audit, or you get a notice for verification, or you get a notice for compliance check? One, you're supposed to understand the time frame given by KRA, because it's very, very important for you to adhere. Then you need to evaluate the information that is required by KRA and ensure that it is available, because we have said that it is your responsibility as a taxpayer to ensure that you are able to give the burden of proof, because it is your responsibility. Then carry out a pre-audit compliance check. This also important. Then having an opening meeting with the KRA team, just to be able to understand what are the deliverables and what is the timelines to conclude this particular exercise. Then assign a contact person from your finance team to be the contact person, because it's not wise the accountant to be also to interact with KRA. The finance team is also interacting with KRA. We just want one person so that we can harmonize everything to come from one point. Then resolve as many issues as possible during the audit process, and you ensure that you receive an official letter of findings from KRA. Because if you do not have this official letter of findings, then another individual, another officer from KRA will come and review the same issues. Then in case there are any taxes which are not in dispute, ensure that you pay or you enter into an arrangement to pay the same. So some of the accounting book that is going to be required for tax audit purposes, we have the sales ledger and the purchases ledger. We have the invoices, both for the sales and purchases, the general ledger. So KRA expect that you're using an accounting system. And luckily, RWK has something in store for you. So I'll take you through that. Then we have the asset register. So you need to ensure that you have an asset register with all the assets that you own as a business. Then M-Pesa statement and bank statement is also something that is normally requested by KRA. We have the debtors and the creditors account, salaries and wages, that is the payroll and the master roll, the director's account, the loan statement, and inventory account. So sometimes the list is not just limited to this. They might ask more depending on your operations as an NGO. So these are case between Code for Africa Limited versus Commissioner of Domestic Taxes. And this is appeal number E683 of 2023. So when it is E, it means that it is electronic. So we have said that all the organization, most of the organizations, they are adapting technology. So the issues to do with the manual keeping of records in the near future, that will not be there. So it's either we keep a manual copy, and also we ensure that we have a soft copy in place. So because currently the applications to the tax appeals tribunal is normally done through the e-judiciary portal. So the Code for Africa Limited is an NGO registered under the Companies Act, applied where they applied for income tax exemption under Income Tax Act, Section 13, subsection 1, and paragraph 10 of the first schedule. So this Code for Africa, they were applying for income tax exemption. So what happened? So KRA rejected their application, and that was on 9th March 2023. And they stated that the NGO's objective did not meet exemption criteria. So the appellant appealed. So they went to the Tax Appeals Tribunal to appeal because they were not satisfied. So it's your constitutional right to challenge any tax decision. So it doesn't mean that when you get an assessment to pay 100 million, you close the company, sell everything that you have just to pay that. You can be able, you have a constitutional right to challenge any tax decision that has been issued by KRA. So the Code for Africa, they argued that KRA violated Section 49 of the Tax Procedures Act by failing to provide reason for rejection. So we need to understand the law. We have so many acts that are available, and it is our responsibility. Then that is why we are seeking for professional advice from an expert. So we have got the Income Tax Act, we have the Excise Duty Act, we have the VAT Act, we have the Tax Procedures Act, we have the Tax Tribunals Act, we have the Custom Duty Act. We have so many acts that are available. So when you get the Kenya Law website, or even to the ICASRA, you can be able to get all that. So they also argued that its activities, that is civic education, air quality monitoring, journalism training, they aligned with paragraph 10, which talks about relief of poverty or distress, education, advancement. So the tribunal, they ruled in favor of KRA, and they indicated that no proof of document submission to KRA, hence the burden of proof was not discharged. And this was in violation to Section 56, subsection 1 of the Tax Procedures Act. And the tribunal's finding is that the appellant, and the appellant in this case is Code for Africa Limited, they failed to prove documents were submitted to KRA, no evidence attached in appeal. So this case, unless now they go on to I'm not sure whether they went to the next stage, which is the High Court, to challenge this judgment by the Tax Appeals Tribunal. So you see, it's your responsibility to be able to discharge the burden of proof. So if you are not able to do that, then means that they are going to reject your application. So before I wind up and before we come to the Q&A section, I want to introduce to you, and I say that RWK had something in store for you, and that is my accurate books. And in this, we are saying that you need to say goodbye to the accounting hassle, because my accurate books has got you covered. So my accurate books is an accounting software that is designed and developed by RWK Africa with an aim to assist taxpayers to keep proper records and to ensure that everything they have got is well documented and it is recorded. And when it comes to the issuing of the invoices, it is done. Then we have, so as RWK, creating of awareness is one of our core activities. So we like to ensure that we create awareness by holding this free webinar, like the one we have just today. So on Friday, that is 19 September 2025, this coming Friday, the day after tomorrow, we'll still be having an online webinar, and this is a free webinar. It's about tax planning strategies for individuals and corporate, and you are most welcome. And in here, you'll be able to learn the tax planning strategies to reduce tax liabilities and maximize savings and stay compliant. So the time is still the same, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and that is on 19th September. So my our IT department will share a link for you to do the booking and to register. So you are most welcome to attend. So we also do have a corporate social responsibility, which is sponsored by RWK Africa in partnership with My Accurate Books. And this is also a free training. And this training will be on 27 September 2025 between, this is a physical training, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. and that will be on 27 September. So this will be a Saturday, that is next week Saturday. The location is the Thika Road Technical College, Darugo opposite PCA Church. So it's along Thika Road. It's along Thika Road, and we'll be training on charcoal, briquettes, and fire gel making. So then we also have a taxation masterclass, and we have said that we need to be well aware on our responsibility as taxpayers. So we need to be up to date with everything that is happening. And for us, even on the act that I have just talked about, on the Income Tax Act, the VAT Act, one of the ways for you to be able to understand is nurturing by wanting to learn more. So we have got a taxation masterclass, and this is our last one for this particular year. We had another one in July 2025. And what you learn from this taxation masterclass is that you'll be able to understand the Kenyan tax landscape, that is the Kenya laws, structure, and the current regulations because the law keeps on changing. Then you're going to learn about the payroll and the statutory deduction, the VAT mastery, that is the accurate computation and use of electronic tax invoice system. We have the iTax as the essentials and navigation. So you need to be able to understand how do you navigate on iTax. When you want to apply for refund, where do you go? When you want to generate a payment slip, where are you supposed to go? When you want to do the application, like this for exemptions, or you want to add an obligation, where are you supposed to go? Then customs and compliance will be training on the tax refunds, smart saving approaches and emerging tax trends. You'll also be able to understand the taxpayer's responsibility and obligation, and also what is your rights as a taxpayer. Then effective handling of tax audit, dispute and resolution strategies, understanding Tax Procedures Act, the Income Tax Act, the Value Added Tax, the Tax Appeals Tribunal Act. So we have got various acts, and we are going to look into this. Then we are going to have an engaging case studies and hands-on examples on recent cases, recent judgment that has been given by the Tax Appeals Tribunal, recent rulings, and so you'll be able to learn a lot. And once you learn this, either you are the director, you'll be able now to align your business so that you can be tax compliant. If you are an employee, so as an employer, you can want to support your employees so that they understand what are they expected of themselves when they are doing when they are working for you. Then you can pay for them this masterclass. So on the taxation masterclass, it's not a free masterclass. We do charge a discounted fee. So we have two packages, the online and the physical training. So the online one, it normally happens during the evening, that is between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. And it will happen between 10th and 21st November 2025. And the charges, we are only charging 25,000. On the physical training, it will be a 3-day training between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. That is between 5th November and 7th November. And the total charges will be 40,000. And this physical training, we are going to hold it at Swiss Lenana Hotel, Nairobi. So after you attend and you have learned all that we have said, on top of that, you're going to get a certificate indicating everything that we have taught you. And if you are an IcePack member, you can use that certificate to get CPD points for IcePack members. So in case you're interested, a link will be shared. You can be able to register either as an individual or as a corporate. Please use that link and register. And also you can get in touch with us from our number, that is 0728 897 429. And also you can email us at info@rwkafrica.com. So we do also tax health check, and we have a special offer whereby we are charging 10,000. So the main aim of this is just to check your, for you to be able to double check your tax compliance and for you to feel confident about your financial health in order for you to take advantage of our tax health check and make sure you are up to date with your payments and filing. So what we will provide is a tax compliance check. We'll check for tax obligation for the past 2 years. We'll give you a tax planning report and advise you on any pending tax issues, and also give you a report of findings and recommendation. So our services, we have various departments. We have the audit services, where we do the statutory audit, internal audit, accounting system audit, project management, and financial statement audit, forensic, and the tax compliance audit. In our tax department, we normally do several tax services, including all the tax return, tax health check. In case you are eligible for a refund, we do the refund for you, and we follow up. We have the tax planning, representation at KRA on different tax issues. If it is the tax audits, the tax compliance, we do representation for you. We have the KRA audit processes. We have advisory on tax implication of various transactions, and also the tax training like the one we are doing. So we also have a bookkeeping department, and this is where you can outsource us instead of you to have an accountant in place, or even if you have one, you can outsource us just to be reviewing your records on a monthly basis. So in this, we'll give you a management report, we'll file your monthly return, we'll give you a bank reconciliation, a payroll for the month, ensure that there's reconciliation between the account payable and receivables, the trial balance reconciliation, cash flow forecasting, cost management, break-even and analysis, and budget to actual report. We do also have the internal audit. We check on the accounting system audit, bank reconciliation, internal control processes, management report and governance report, payroll review, procurement processes, payables and receivables reconciliation, cash flow projection, budget to actual report. So this is a summary of all our financial services that we do. So our office are located at Westlands. So currently I'm seated at Westlands. That is Gate MPL, Gate 83 along Westlands Road. So those are our contact information. So you can get in touch with us using the phone numbers displayed. And also you can follow us on our various social media handles. So thank you so much for listening to me. I'll call upon questions. And after I take a few questions, just don't leave so that we can take you through the My Accurate books, which we have said is a software, an accounting software that has been designed by RWK Africa to ease your operations and for you to record. So let me call a few questions, then I invite my colleague to take you through the demo for the My Accurate book. So thank you so much for listening to me. And in case you are interested with our services, we have indicated our number there. You can get in touch with us. So as I check for the question, I'll stop sharing so that my colleague can share from his side. So Dalma is asking, does all this tax implication applies for CBOs implementing donor fund project? Funded project, you need to get to ensure that you get the exemptions, and it must be approved by the cabinet secretary. So the tax implication, they revolve around all angles. So it's important for us to ensure that we comply with everything. So because of time, let me usher in my colleague to take you through the demonstration. So in case there's some Q&A that have not been responded, I'll be responding on the chat box. as my colleague presents. So thank you so much and do have a good day.
Session of this demo. So I present myself introduce myself on PS Development, developer behind the books. Few moments or few minutes to check on my screen. We have the monthly version, which is the mobile application of share my screen, and that is the name of books. So take a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to download the application. It's just 20 MB. It will not take much of the volume space. On my other tab, I have a web version, which is accessible at absolute.com. You can check the website and be able to walk through this demo. So I think these are 2 minutes to load the application so that we can work and go together. In case you get any trouble, you can ask the questions on the chat box and we'll be able to see them. So go ahead with the web version. I'll put the demo for the web version, which is available as a URL on any browser. Personally, I'm using Chrome. You can use Microsoft Edge, and you can use Firefox. On the website, you have the login and the get started button. So once you click on the get started, you get this screen where you just get started for free. So once you sign up, you get a 1 month free trial to try and test out the system. On the sign up page, you provide your business details, which is your first name, last name, business name, your currency, and finally phone number and your business logo. So for the purpose of time, I use already an account that I've created. So I request that you follow through. If in case you sign up and you need personal one-on-one demo before you conduct those, so no worries, you can just follow through this demo to quickly show an overview of the functionalities within this accounting and payroll system. So allow me to open. So once you're logged in, you get this amazing view. We have the dashboard analytics. You're able to visualize your sales and your expenses, practices, and the profit and loss. You're also able to visualize your sales performance. And on the far left, you have the data report, which is a summary of the money that your customers owe the business. This is, you can also be able to do date change and selection to visualize the sales on the performance between specific date ranges. Meaning you can select for the year, for the month, or for the specific period that you want to check. At the top, we have the drop down form all the business locations, which includes if you have several branches within the same business. This allows you to toggle and view summary per branch. So we'll go. Okay, sorry, can you confirm that you're able to hear me clearly? Sorry for the interruptions. Kindly confirm that you're able to hear me clearly. So I will proceed. So I was on the part that I was showing you where you are able to toggle and move from one branch to the other. That is available on the dashboard. So you are able to visualize data per branch for your business. Within the user icon, you can be able to check your business profile. So under business profile, you're able to add payment accounts. So payment accounts are the accounts that you specify that you want your money to be remitted into these accounts when making an invoice or when making paying out purchases or as paying out of expenses. So these you can be able to add several accounts. We have a bank account, we have M-Pesa, you can add a till number, you can add pay bill, as well as Swift transfer and my accurate pay. So towards the end of this demo, I'll also talk about my accurate pay, which is a wallet that has been made by the team at LWK to facilitate reconciliation of funds. So let me proceed and go back to the dashboard. So the first things we have on the menu are items. So items refers to the product and services that your business is offering. It can be purely services, or it can be both, include services and products. These also supports item composition for those businesses which are in manufacturing or, for instance, hotels or baking, and categories such as feed formulation. So I'll add a sample product to demonstrate this. I will select a categories, we'll say a product. Then we select the quantity. Then the unit we can see is in liters. Purchase price. Then the sale price. The vendor is not mandatory, then we can use the tax type. We can also set the minimum and the maximum selling points. These will be able to, if in the case that you have salespeople, you can always use them as a directive so that they may not sell a product at a loss. So for item composition, when you toggle this on, you'll be able to select items that composite to the main product. So these are the ingredients that will make up the final product one. So we can always adjust this and add the quantity as you prefer them to be. So this is how you add a composite item. On to the next thing I will show is how to make a sale. So on this branch, we don't have any products. Let me switch back to the headquarter branch. And you can see we have the items. So let's go to making a sale. So for the type of sale, we have either an invoice or a receipt. So you're able to select your products or services. You can add an item. We can always select the customer. By default, you have the walk-in customer. So you can always choose to pay later or pay now. So when you pay now, you'll issue a receipt. You're able to select your payment method. You can also issue split payments in the case where the user or the client issued more than one payment. So you'll use a single payment made to send money. You can also issue a reference code for the receipt, and you can always adjust the receipt date. Then finally, we complete the sale. We have two options. If you're using a thermal printer, you are able to print this the receipt, or automatically you can issue a PDF receipt. Let's me show you. So we made on 16. So you can view them, download the PDF. Automatically, you can print the PDF receipt or the invoice. From that point, under sales, you can also make quotations. Quotations, these are the unconfirmed invoices. You can see we have a summary of the pending ones, the approved ones, and the rejected. For the approved ones, they automatically converted to invoices. Then in the case that you have an invoice or an invoice item that you wish to return, to give a refund to the customer, you can always issue credit notes. So these you have the credit notes here. So how to issue a credit note? We go under sales. You can always view the invoice. Then you can choose, if it's unpaid, you can choose to delete the invoice, or you can always choose to create a credit note for the items listed under the invoice. Aside from creating the credit notes, finally we have the receive invoice payments or collect payments for the invoices. So under this section, you get all the invoices that have been paid and their customers. You can always choose to collect payment, and you're able to update the payment for the invoice, either a split payment, where you're able to add several payment accounts or several payment methods. You can see you can choose specifically M-Pesa, KCB, and TIL, and still update the invoice, the payment for the invoice. On to the next section, we have in this software is the purchases. So under purchases, you are able to issue out purchase orders to your supplier. Once they have approved or they have confirmed the items are available, you can always approve it, converting it into a purchase. So we have the purchases here. You can always choose to filter out and select purchases for specific dates. You can view the purchase, and as well as you can make a debit note requesting a refund from the supplier. So for the recording purchases, we have this view where you select the items. Once you select the items, you are able to add them to your purchase. We also include the supplier and choose whether it's an invoice purchase or it's a receipt purchase. So this is how you make purchases on my accurate books. Then the other thing I've just talked about the debit notes. This is where when you're requesting a refund from your supplier. Then we have suppliers. And finally, we have pay purchases, which is where you record your the payments for your purchases that you made. So this is the same view you can use like we did for invoices. You just have the pay purchase. You can either choose the split payment or the single payment, where you're able to select the account and the status, either full or partial payment. We have the balance due and the date. You can also include notes regarding the payment, and you will be able to complete the payment for the purchase within your business using my accurate books. So the next thing we have is expenses. Here you're able to record all your business expenses. You can as well as download the report. We also have the options for bulk imports, so you can upload all your expenses within this view, and you will be able to visualize and have a record of them. Then we have the customers. These are all the customers that your business are interacting with. Those which you have a record of them, you can always get a customer's report depending can view the customer. You can view their reports to view all the purchases the purchases that are the sales they have made from your business. From this data, you can be able to issue recommendations or offers tailored to your specific customer. See, you can load the PDF for the report. You can also bulk import customers and add them to your business. The next bit we have is the reports. For the reports, we have the accounting, we have the chart of accounts, we have the journal entries, we have the assets, which is asset management. We have the general ledger, so balance and balance sheet. So these are the reports that are included within the accounting section for accountants or for the complex accounting. Apart from that, under reports, we have the inventory. The inventory, you're able to get the reports of cost of goods sold, the products, and the returned goods. The returned goods are the goods that are coming back from the credit note that you've issued. Then we are able to get a profit and loss. So profit and loss report is the income statement for your business. Then we have the debtors report. Sorry about that. So for the debtors report, see there was an error there. And then we have the creditors report. We have a list of all the money that the business owed to the suppliers or the vendors. And finally, we have the sales report where you are able to visualize all your sales, the total sales, the amount received. So this includes all the sales made from invoices or the receipts. And the final thing we have on my accurate books, before I move on to users management, we have a stock transfer. So stock transfer is where you have you may want to transfer some of the stock from the quarter branch to your other branches. So usually what happens in that scenario, you move from one branch to the other and you're able to request stock from the headquarter branch, upon which the request is viewed by the admin and they can approve stock, which then appears onto the branch that specifically requested for the stock. So I'll move to another branch. Then sorry about that. So I'll go to the reports and the inventory. Sorry, let me check something. Sorry about that. So I'm getting information that the account that I'm using is having some issues. Let me switch back to headquarters. Under reports, we have the inventory. Yes, so under inventory, we can see we have the stock management. So stock management, you can see we have all requests. Then we have the approved requests. So as the admin in headquarter branch, we were able to see all the requests that have been sent from other branches by other admins for stock transfer. and you'll be able to approve them if when you are at the main headquarter branch. So that's for the stock request and management and stock transfer. Then finally, we have the user management. So user management, this is where you are able to add users to your business. You can assign them roles and permissions and allow them. So let me show an example. So you assign a branch, and give a sample phone number. Then on to the next, so the password, we'll give a password. So you can always give up permissions to the user that you're adding to your business, meaning they'll be able to manage whatever that you tick on this page. You can choose, they'll have access to inventory, sales, customers. And then once you create them, they'll be able to log in with the details that you provide on this first page, which is the email and password. And under the role which you assign them, they'll be able to access different parts of the system within your business. Then finally, we have branches. So under branches, this is where you're able to visualize all your business branches. You can as well as add other branches, and you'll be able to manage all your branches at one standpoint. So I'll talk said that I'll talk about my accurate pay. So allow me to switch my screen and show the view for my accurate pay, which is a wallet. So it's available also on the Play Store as by the name My Accurate Pay. You can also access it on the web. Once you already created an application, once you've already submitted an application to create an account via the mobile application. For any questions, you can ask them on the chat, and I'll be able to respond. Okay, so I've shared my screen. I believe you're able to see it. So this is the mobile version of the application or the system. By default, we have the dashboard. So these mirrors are everything that is on the web application or on the web. We have the dashboard analytics. We have the quick actions. We have the summary. We have the quotations. So the menu is also the similar. We have the sales. We have the quotations. We have the purchases. As I've just shown on the web, we have inventory. The same, we have stock transfer, stock adjustment report, and the inventory. We also have reports. And finally, we have the accounting. So for this specific, I want to show My Accurate Pay, which is a wallet that has been developed under under RWK Africa to facilitate a reconciliation of funds. So this is what you get when you launch My Accurate Pay. So allow me to log in. So this is the default view we have for the wallet. So you're able to view your balance. You're able to top up your account from your M-Pesa or bank or pay bill. So we have partnered with a bank which facilitates handling of transactions since you have to be verified by the Central Bank of Kenya. So the bank goes by Choice Bank, so you can always choose to top up your wallet via the Choice Bank pay bill number. You can always choose to top up by your own M-Pesa, where you receive a STK push on your mobile phone, and you'll be able to add funds to your wallet. You'll be able to make transfers to Airtel Money, internal transfer, meaning to another bank account or a wallet account, or you can also use PesaLink as well as a Swift transfer. Then you can also choose to make payments via paybill or till number. You can also request money from an M-Pesa number or Airtel. And finally, you can make utilities, which is either buy airtime. So this is all supported within the personal accounts. We also have another type of account, which is called a business account. So under business account, you are able to make bulk transfers to your suppliers or to your employees. So meaning you can do petty cash management within the wallet. The wallet also supports up to 8 Kenyan shillings Kenyan shillings currency accounts. So for currently, my account has only 2 account types. I only have a USD and 1 Kenya shilling account. So you can always opt to request to add an account. You can add up to 8 accounts. That is for the business account. Then we have the analytics, which is a summary of the transactions, money coming in and money coming out of the wallet. Then finally, we have the notifications. So the main purpose of the wallet is to facilitate reconciliation of funds. So we are finalizing on full integration with my Accurate Books. So all the transactions that you make using my Accurate Books will be integrated with my Accurate Pay if you'll have both my Accurate Pay and my Accurate Books accounts. So that's it for the presentation. If you have any questions, kindly ask them on the chat and we'll be able to respond them to you. Also, once you sign up, we do conduct one-on-one demos for the softwares. So one of our representatives will usually call you and will take you through the whole system one-on-one to fully understand the perspective on which will be this system can be able to be helpful within your business. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to assist.